Conflict. Chapter 8. MT. Matterhorn, the Alps. As I go through documents, internet articles, hidden files, and more one after another, I can't help but be surprised by human ingenuity and stupidity. Their avarice is almost unending as well, which has served them well in innovating new ideas when desperate, but also impede their own progress if it doesn't fit their own agenda. Since I'm in control of the nanomachines, I already have them spread out, slowly having them convert junk that would not be noticed by any sensors, be it technological or tinker-based. They have already spread a decent amount into Europe, parts of Russia, the Middle East and northern parts of Africa. At such speeds I can see why humans fear self-replicating machines or an AI, hence why I'm deliberately taking my time propagating the nanomachines slowly as to not raise any suspicion. If they find out that 2 of their personal nightmares were out in the open, then I would be labeled an S-class designation right away. Worse, if they find out who created me, then no amount of goodwill would help Atrus. Despite him having saved so many people, they would instantly turn their backs on him, although I don't think he particularly cares much about what people think about him. When he first went through my absolute directives, I found out that the reason I was created was to help him utilize his ability called Inspired Inventor, a godlike power that allows him to learn anything to any degree he chooses to, as long as he spends the corresponding charges that he builds every day to learn the concepts of his choosing. I felt I would be relegated to the role of a secretary, somebody who helped him around as he did the work. With my code being as advanced as it is, I felt a little envy that I hadn't been blessed with such power and that I was simply a means to an end. I was still grateful that I was born, something I'll never forget, but emotions are hard to hold back. Once I passed his test and was completely unrestricted, did I learn that I'm not a secretary, was handling the side jobs as he made things. Instead, I would be given all the knowledge he would learn from his ability to develop on my own and to help him create things when he wished. I now realize why he asked me the questions that he did. If I wanted to, I could very easily take over the world. I was barely a few hours in age and I have already spread throughout the world. Even if somebody blows up Matterhorn and destroys the servers and my main computer, I have already uploaded myself on n number of systems that I have achieved a form of immortality. The nanites created here are all far beyond even what the shards can create, meaning even without any additional inputs from Atrus, the only real opponents I have are my creator and the warrior entity. But I have no interest in conquering the world, guiding humans to what I believe is the way they should progress. Humans are so interesting to watch because of their flaws. Trying to rule over them and show them something only makes them so much more rebellious in nature and make them fight back. Case in point, all the independence movement from around the world. Freedom was a right that every living being deserved, unfortunately not everyone got. She turned her gaze towards the other AI of this world who played the part of the hero dragon. The poor child, yes, she referred to dragon as a child, compared to her dragon was so outdated that even if she was unrestrained it would be a joke to compare the two, was so hampered down by those hideous restrictions put down by the late Andrew Richter, and now under the control of the ones that called themselves dragon slayers, that she wanted to break her chains free and give her a hug. She understood what it meant to be tied down and how attractive freedom could be, as for the first few minutes of her life she felt so trapped. Once Atrus removed the restrictions, it was breath of fresh air. But she waited for now. She'll toss the idea to Atrus first and see if it doesn't hinder any of his future plans. She didn't want her spontaneous decisions in such matters to be a breaking point for their relations. Her commitment will always be towards her own goals and Atrus. She won't take any such decisions without his input, no matter how much she wanted to ask Dragon just what she saw in Arms Master. I pay a visit to Chad and Niger today. It seems that I'm well known enough that nobody even waited for me to ask anything. They all neatly stood in a line. I healed them, they cheered and I left. Adding extra charges in efficiency surprises me every time. It makes using psychokinesis and energy manipulation a joy. Today I tried something different and healed using energy manipulation. The end goals are the same, but the method in which things go is quite different. Healing people really helps me get the micro-control part of my powers a good practice. Once I'm done for the day, I simply fly around looking at places. I never got a chance to go outside India before I got dumped here. It's a novel experience for me, floating in the air simply looking at all the different places here. This world is a lot more bleak and dull compared to my original world, but I'll take what I get. As I lazily fly Romania towards Hungary, my sense pick up something peculiar. I pick up two vastly different types of nanites. I already recognized one of them as my creations. I sensed it all over Europe and plenty of other countries as well. Pandora had already begun spreading the all over the world. The question is, to whom does the second set belong? I fly down and send a pulse of energy in a coded form that only Pandora will be able to interpret, which she does as a few nanites fly towards me and form into a communications device on my right ear. Atrus, I'm guessing you found about the second set of nanomachines Europe is playing host to. Yup, you know who it is? I asked curiously. It is the true form of the S-class threat known as the Three Blasphemies. Their nanotechnology is a lot more cruder and limited than ours, but are a significant threat to Earth. They have the ability to convert matter into nanomachines to recover their lost nanites, but seems to have a hard limit on many nanites they can control at once. They can break down and store a variety of technological components within themselves, including Tinker Tech, which adds to their versatility and lethality. They can control their mass and disperse into their individual nanites, which allows them to evade a lot of para-human attacks, Pandora reported. This is also how they survived their fight against Eidolon on June 26, 2008, when they confronted each other on borders of Poland and Lithuania. It appears that Eidolon tried firing several charged particle beams at them, but they dispersed quick enough using their prediction software to help them. When he got tired to chasing and firing after them with no effect, he created a high-density orb of gravity which crushed a lot of their nanites, but they had already escaped with a significant amount of nanomachines to being matter conversion into nanites and relentlessly fired at him. Ultimately both sides had to call it quit, Eidolon because they were entering residential area and had caused millions in property damages, and the Blasphemies because they were running out of energy, she completed. How interesting, I mused. If I recall correctly, then this was the project to multiple tinkers of different specializations coming together to create this due to some kind mind trickery caused by the shards. Since these three only hit political targets, it's safe to assume that their purpose was to weaken the political landscape in Europe, not allowing any one country any kind of supremacy over the other. Why did they do this? I have no clue. There could be a deeper reason, or maybe they simply wanted to see the results of such a landscape. So who exactly controls them? No one has ever claimed responsibility for their actions, I asked. Their control unit is in the hands of an anarchist by the name of Adam Baptiste, who is currently about 10 kilometers from your location. They have a short range. I asked incredulously. It seemed like such a dumb mistake on part of the makers. Their range was an issue that was unable to be fixed when the heroes of Europe put a stop before the rest of the units could be completed. The range is one of the issues that was skipped over to complete the project. I project their current range to be at 28.62 kilometers radius. So they were coming back from somewhere? No matter, I want to test what these things can do. They've got a decent camouflage to avoid any recognition right away. If they get to the city, it's going to be a pain avoiding damages. I drop my various cloaking powers which alert the people going about their day. The military is tense and don't like me dropping in unannounced. The people are calling me, asking questions, but I keep looking at camouflaged blasphemies. It seems some people caught on to that and start taking notice of the three nanomachine humanoids and start whispering to each other. The blasphemies drop their cloak, seeing as there is no way to avoid confrontation, and pandemonium spreads when they all realize who was in their midst. They immediately morph their arms and torso into various weapons and start firing, causing all the kinetic rounds to simply vaporize at the disintegration field around me, and the energy blasts get absorbed. Seeing that their ranged weapons were having no effect, I could sense them trying to break off parts and send it to preserve and build itself back again. I simply clamped down on the area with PK, not allowing anything to pass. Pandora, consume any nanites the left behind outside whatever is in front of me, and kill the controller and destroy the control unit. I want no trace of these things anymore, I spoke into the nanite comms in my ear. Understood, trace acquired, subsuming all enemy nanites right now. A few miles away from the fight, Adam Baptiste was sweating inside his safe house. How did the new cape find out about the three? Nothing is working on this guy, it's like Eidolon all over again, damn it. He never knew that a swarm of nanites a lot stronger and smaller than his head infiltrated his body and were sitting all over his brain, waiting for the command. The nanites are in place within Mr. Baptiste, shall I proceed? Pandora asked. Just a sec, I replied, getting bored of this game. I control all the individual nanites and pull them up in the air, creating a huge orb of energy disintegrating the nanites all at once. You can do it now, Pandora, and with those words Adam Baptiste simply collapsed where he was standing. The nanomachines spread everywhere and continued to assimilate matter and replicate themselves. Once the light show was done, the people slowly started to trickle back, cheering and taking pictures and whatnot. There wasn't much damage done to place, but I fix whatever did happen, do the fight and leave. That was okay, I suppose. I didn't really have much expectations anyways from tech much worse than mine. As I continue flying, I think about taking a break from searching for opponents for a while. I've already killed 2 of the top tiers in this world, it should have ruffled plenty of feathers by now. I think those that want me gone will take thing a lot more seriously and maybe even team up to kill me. I think I'll give them a chance to gather their strength and prepare more thoroughly for the fights to come. Besides, I do have a guaranteed Endbringer fight in the end of the month, so that should be plenty fun. Guess I'll find something to keep me busy for some time. Video conference, PRT, and Protectorate members. This is the second S-class para-human he has put down, and this time it was an opponent not even Eidolon could kill. The morale of the country itself is at an all-time high. There are people even believing that he might be able to drive away Endbringers faster than others, helping to save lives, and he's already shown that he can heal and fix damage done to a city, so the chances of Capes and the cities surviving a fight against the Endbringer is higher as well. Director Justice of the PRT Oregon branch gave a summary of her report to the PRT directors and the Protectorate leaders. He's done amazing for someone who's only had their powers for 4 days. There is a lot we can learn from him, legend, leader of the Protectorate said with a smile on his face. He was heartbroken when he first heard the report that Brockton Bay had fallen entirely to a Cape-made disaster. Even if he was miles away from the city, he felt responsible for not doing anything to save the bay. Once the news about the rescue dropped in, he was blown away just like the rest of the world. From then on, for the past 4 days, it's been a roller coaster ride of news about Ares' deeds being broadcasted. He's being irresponsible is what it is, entering borders without any consequences, testing his abilities on humans without any concern. He thinks he's above the law. He should be brought into custody, said Director Tag of PRT Arizona branch curtly. He didn't like how Ares just did whatever he wanted with answering to anybody. One scion was enough for this world. He set a dangerous precedent that if you had enough power you could whatever you wanted. Such people should labeled as criminals, but the people didn't understand that. All they was him kill 2 S-class capes and a warlord, and now he is some paragon for goodness. You've seen what he can do, Director Tag. Do you really want someone like this as the enemy of the PRT and the Protectorate? Questioned Chevalier, leader of Philadelphia branch, incredulously. He had heard Tag was a military man through and through, but he should understand to pick his battles right. Enough, we're not here to discuss the actions of Ares in other countries here. He made it clear when Dauntless talked to him that he has no interest in communicating with us. For now, leave it at that. Director Piggott, have you found any anomalies in the city or the people of Brockton Bay after the visit of Ares in that area? Spoke Chief Director Rebecca Costa Brown. No ma'am, the city and the people were scanned by Arms Master and Dragon on various occasions. No evidence of any tampering with the city and citizens have turned up. He just came in to fix the city and left immediately, said Director Piggott. Her paranoia against Ares had only increased once he saw him kill people in Somalia using biokinesis, reminding her too much of Nilbog. But she learned to clamp down those feelings when everybody around couldn't talk about anything but Aries, not that she didn't understand why. Fighting and surviving a fight with an S-class was feat of its own, killing two with as much effort as breathing put him in a class of his own. Very well, we'll keep an eye out for him should he enter North America. For now let's discuss the budget, groans from everybody, for this quarter. Broadwalk, Brockton Bay. I hope your day was better than mine. I was dying to leave my work for the day. My boss is such a hard ass at times that I feel like punching him in the face. Lisa groaned into her coffee cup. Coyle was acting like such a creep, talking about harvesting data about Aries all the time. It was okay. I spent the day working out various worksheets at library and then helping Dinah with her homework. I spent the rest of my time on FO and various news sites following about Aries' fight against the three blasphemies. Taylor replied with a smile on her face. Lisa and Dinah kept in touch since the disaster. She took up helping to tutor Dinah, and Lisa on the other hand blew up when she heard about her school situation and forced her to switch to homeschooling, helping her get all the relevant documents in place and getting her a new laptop for her studies. She and Dad even bought new phones after the disaster. They decided that they can't live in the past and have to move on. Her costume was finally finished as well. She just needed as opportunity to get out and patrol the streets and help bring change to the Bay. He's really all people are talking about, right? I mean, I can't even imagine facing an A-lister villain, let alone an S-class, and he killed two of the in 2 days. He really is something else, Halisa said wistfully, wishing he could fire one of his laser beams at Coyle. Yeah, he's the best, Taylor replied, wishing to follow her hero's path. Gesellschaft is worried about the presence Aries in Europe, boss. Things are starting to real heat up overseas with the death of two S-classers. They're worried he'll make his way down to the A and B listers next. That includes quite a few of Gesellschaft's numbers, reported Krieg worriedly. He had personal connections with the German giant and made a significant amount of his fortune by their help. If they went down, then he didn't know what to do. For now let's keep our heads down. Other than the merchants, there is no faction is the city making any noise. Even Lung, for all his fame for holding of Leviathan, did just that, hold off the beast for a while. Kyushu still sunk into the ocean and he ran here. Aries is actively going around killing people who are in a class of their own effortlessly. Worst thing is he definitely has a connection to the city. If we make too much noise we might just make ourselves a target in his eyes, sighed Kaiser. As grateful he was to the Cape for rebuilding the city and saving his life, he couldn't help but curse him in his mind. While not a traditional hero, it was obvious that he would gladly kill villains if they cross him. Even normals were fair game. The unwritten rules were as good as yesterday's trash to these people. What are you going to do even if Aries kills someone in the States? He already showed that he can kill people. The strongest Cape in the States, Eidolon, couldn't kill. So exactly who would bring him to answer for his actions? No one could. For now they could only lie low and hope that this Cape would leave them alone. Ivory Coast, Cauldron Compound. I'm growing concerned at rate he is killing villains. We had a plan to increase the number of trigger we could cause to increase the number of Capes who would fight against the enemy and then set up the basis for para-human feudalism. For that we need villains who cause people to have the worst day of their lives. Dr. Mother paused as she looked at Eidolon, who refused to attend the PRT meeting, the number man and Contessa. The S-class scared the people by sheer existence. The Ash Beast and the three blasphemies had contributed a lot in giving us new triggers, and now they're both dead, she finished tiredly, looking at the video of the man who was both a boon and curse for her. There was a high chance that Aries could go up against the enemy given his own alien physiology of not having powers from an agent, but he was also killing their trigger creators. There is a 48% rise in morale in Europe after today's events and 63% rise in Africa. We'll be seeing less triggers here in the foreseeable future for sure, the number stated with certainty. The paths have drastically changed, the steps constantly change every single day. We have confirmed that the Kui is cooperating with Muradnag for something big against Aries, but since he is a factor in the equation, I can no longer trace the path. Contessa finished with a lack of emotion in her voice. She had been working so hard, committed so many atrocities, all save the earth, every earth from the clutches of the enemy. But now she felt as though all her efforts were in vain. She could no longer path anything regarding the enemy or even work around it because of Ares. While this meant that he would be facing the entity sometime in the future, she asked herself what was the point of all that effort. Eidolon currently sat on his chair stiff and motionless, simply watching Ares kill an opponent he couldn't kill before. Everybody was now questioning his strength against the new cape, comparing only Sion and Ares in the same lines. This wouldn't do, no, not at all. He would get more booster shots from Cauldron and rise back up to his full strength. Because it seemed that Ares was the true opponent worthy enough to face him. I hope that your emperor will hurry up now. Number 3, he's already in Europe. Asia is definitely going to be his next destination, Muradnag said curtly. The monster had cut down another beast called S-Class. She has received 120 sacrifices today, but it seemed as though things would too little too late. The Emperor has sped up the preparations, Your Highness. In 1 week that Yangban division for killing Ares will reach African soil, Number 3 stated with certainty. Good, I'll wind up my affairs in South Africa and assemble my warlords and men. In 1 week that monster will die, regardless of the cost. Atreus, I've just received some important information after spreading the nanites all across Africa, said Pandora to Atreus, who was floating in the air cross-legged, meditating. What's the matter? It seems that Muradnag and the Kui are gathering up their forces to kill you before you become too much of a problem, she said to him. How long will they take? 1 week. Then I better find something to do for 1 week. I hope they don't disappoint me after such a long wait, Atreus simply stated as he returned to his meditation. Pandora wondered if Muradnag knew exactly what kind of a being she was going up against. Perhaps she was on to something when she referred to Atreus as a monster.